Hello, in this tutorial we're going to be learning some basics of Playmaker. Playmaker is a visual scripting tool and we're going to use it to create all the game scripts for our game. It's basically going to control everything. So for this simple sort of introduction, we're going to make a light turn on and off. We're going to start by going here to your hierarchy and right clicking, find the empty object, create empty. Let's rename this something like light switch. Okay. Now to add a Playmaker script, you need to have the object selected, and then in this window, it even tells you right click to add FSM, right click to add in one. And so we'll do add FSM, and we've got one. And right now it's a very simple one. It has a start state, and then it has a state one with nothing happening. We're going to fill in all those details. So Playmaker is a state machine. And a state machine means that it'll start with a state, it'll do some actions, and then eventually it'll move to another state, and we'll do those actions there. Similar to life, you know, we are a state of sitting at our desk right now, and a little bit later we will transition out of our chair and we'll move out of the room and we'll be in a new state. Playmaker scripts are the same way. We will set up a series of actions to happen in this first state, and then we'll set another state for it to do another thing when it leaves that state. So for us, our states are pretty simple. We want the light off and the light on. So let's start there. Let's start with light off. Now what I've done is I've clicked on state while having this box selected. See how it's highlighted blue? I've clicked on state. I'm going to rename this to light off. Now names don't really matter to Unity or Playmaker. They really don't care. The names are for us human beings. This is to help us refer back later to what we were doing. Okay, so light off. We need another state though. Our other state is light on. To add another state, right click anywhere in this window. Don't right click on the box, right click over here anywhere in the empty space. And then there's an option called add state. So do that. Okay, so let's rename this one to light on. Okay, so these are totally not connected. We need to do that. And the way we connect states is through this tab called events. So select that. Down here at the bottom it says add event. And we want something like on and off. So I'm going to make one called on. I'll select again and do off. All right. Now to add those events to these states, you need to be selected on the state that you want to add the event to. So select that, right click, and up at the very top there's something called add transition. Now we're in light off. We want to go to light on. So for me it makes sense that I would move to the on transition. Again, it doesn't really matter what you choose as long as it makes sense to you, because Unity doesn't care. And then I want to connect this on to light on. Now it's important to have your mouse exactly in the right place. If you try to do it up here where it says light off, it won't work. But if you left click down here on, left click and drag, you will connect a little arrow to light on. Now that's connected. Now let's do that again for light on. So select light on, right click, add transition, and let's choose off this time. Notice a little error light comes on. That's because we haven't connected it. So again, down here in this state, left click and drag, and now we've got two states connected to each other. And they're not really doing anything right now. They're connected, the framework's in, but we need to add some actions to make those things work. All right, so before we get started on actions though, we need a light source. So let's add a light source. So right click in the hierarchy and let's find lights, and let's do a point light. You can put this anywhere. It's not super important right now, but I'm going to put it over my rocket. And then back on light switch. So the way the design for this is going to work, that we want to do we want to do a button press to turn the light on and off again. And the same button is fine. We can just use the same button to turn it off as we are to turn it on. So let's start there. Let's get a button press. So down here in the window, bottom right, there's a thing called the action browser. Just click on that. We want to type an action called get key down. Now with that selected, you can double click, you can press enter, or you can even left click and drag it down into the state if you want. I just did an enter and it added the action to my state. And notice it happened to the one I had selected, not to this one, right? So it says get key down. Which key? I'm going to go for the space key, and it's right there at the top. Okay, so that's the key we want to do, and it says which event do you want to send when you press that key? Well, we want to send on. If you send anything else, nothing's going to happen, because the only transition we currently have waiting to exit this state is on. So if you had said off, nothing would have happened there. Okay, and then let's do the same thing over here in light on. So open up your action browser, get key down, add that. And do the key space. We're going to send event, and this time we're going to do off. Okay, so let's take a look at that. I'm going to press the play button. Now notice how the green outline is on that particular state. I'm going to press the space bar now, and it moves to light on. And then I'm going to press space bar again, and it's going to move to light off. That's one of the nice advantages of Playmaker, is that you can watch your scripts move through their various states, and it will help you tremendously when you're debugging problems. Okay, let's just turn that off, because right now really the script is only doing one thing. It's just moving from state to state. There's nothing else happening there. Okay, I want to delete all these extra rockets here and just have the one rocket with the light source over it. I'm going to find my camera and position that a little closer so we can see that light. Okay, back to the light switch. So we want to turn that light on and off. I should mention there's probably a dozen ways to do this. The way I'm doing it is not necessarily the way that somebody else might do it. It might not even be the best way to do it, but it's the way I'm doing it. It's the way I've learned. So just want to put that out there, is that anytime you think to do something, there's probably 10 other ways to do it. All right, so we're going to open up our action browser while having this light off state selected. And this time we're looking for an action called activate game object. So type that into the search window. We're going to double click on that one. And now it says activate game object. Which game object? Use owner. And the owner is the object that it's currently attached to. If we used our owner and turned it off, we would turn everything off. We'd turn the script off. Nothing would work, because we'd be turning the script off. So we don't want to use owner. So click on use owner and hit specify game object. And immediately this goes red. That means there's something we need to do. We need to turn off the point light. So left click, and don't let go of your mouse left button. Just left click and drag that object into this window here. Now we're in the light off state. We don't want to turn it on. We want to turn it off. And you can do that by unchecking this activate flag. Yeah. Recursive is to turn off objects or turn on objects that are parented to it. We don't have anything parented to it, so I'm going to just turn that off too. So when this state starts up, it's going to be listening for us to press a button, and it's then going to turn this point light off. Now we just need to do this over here in the light on state, but we need to do it in reverse. Let me show you a little shortcut. If you select on activate game object, right click, you can do copy selected actions, or you can just hit Control C. And you can come over here and then right click and do paste actions, or Control V. But in this case, we don't want to turn it off, we want to turn it on, so we need to check that box. All right, so that's working. Let's give it a try. Okay, our light is off. Turn it on. Yeah, you can just see the reflection there turning it on and off again. We could probably make that a little more visible if we got rid of this directional light. Let me show you about how to turn a object off in the inspector. See this little checkbox here? If you uncheck that, it's going to go off. It's going to just turn that object off. So let's press play again. Yeah, still not very bright. You can have some fun with that if you'd like. On the point light, you can change the range. You can change the intensity. You can even change the color if you want. Okay, and that is the basics of Playmaker. When we start up next, we'll actually start making portions of the game.